Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Marketing Matters. I'm Sarah Touchstone, Landmark Title's social media marketing strategist and educator. I get the pleasure of bringing you guys Marketing Matters live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Arizona time. November has been all about preparing for the holidays, preparing your business, preparing your clients. And today we're talking about how to winterize your real estate finances. So Abraham has come back on. Welcome back, Abraham.
Thank you so
And
much.
he's going to be giving us budget tips for the new year. This is so timely, as we were talking about before we started today's presentation. It is so timely going into the holidays, but budgeting and finances go beyond the holidays. So we're really excited to have you back on today. I think this is a great topic, and we're ready to learn all about it.
Absolutely. All righty. Sounds amazing. So let me jump into it here and share my screen. And we'll start there. Can you see that okay?
Yes, looks perfect.
All righty. Beautiful. Awesome. All righty. And so, yeah, so as you mentioned, we're talking here about winterizing your financials. So prepping for that holiday season and, being in the real estate industry, right? As we mentioned here in the intro there, we kind of work off of a 30, 60, 90-day time frame, right? We've kind of know that, hey, we put something into escrow right now, we're going to have our checks, December or January, right? So we're getting to the end of November here. And so, we have a little bit of a home stretch to try and still make a really great December, but all of the seeds that we're planting right now can likely fall into January, right? And so we've got to prep with what we've got to work with now. Where are we at with our financials now? So that we make sure that we go into a great holiday season, no matter what the outcome of December may look like, that that you're not going to be struggling through the holidays, right? And that's super duper important in our industry. We tend to have a little bit of ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs, in our businesses based off of getting really busy, going out and prospecting, getting really busy. And obviously there's, some things that we can do to fix that to make it more consistent. But nonetheless, for us in the real estate industry, we know that the holiday seasons are ours technically slow time, right? So we've got to understand that, and we've got to make sure that we prep for that. Normally I like to prep starting in the beginning of November so that we know, like, okay, what does November look like that's going to hold us over into December, right? And so, to kind of get started on that, right? So why does this matter, right? Like, why is it super important to kind of keep this in mind, right? Well, historic trends, like in Maricopa County on average, there's about 30% less transactions happening in the October, November, December timeline, right? So we're actually decreasing the amount of transactions. Now, again, if you're pushing really hard, this means that you likely need to work 30% harder just to get the same amount of closings, right? And so we've got to really understand that to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a situation where we're thinking, hey, I've been really consistent at, doing my business and I'm closing X, Y, and Z amount every single month, and we get to the holidays and it's a tough season, right? If we don't anticipate this, we're going to have some pain going into this holiday season. So we've got to really think about that. Now, this past year to this year, it's been a little steady, as you can see down here. I put some charts there, so a little under 4,000 for sold. Right now, again, we've increased that through September, but even still, as we can see that September, October, we've got some decrease from what was our peak, right? So we anticipate that again, November will be a little bit lower than this, and same thing, probably under 4,000 sold transactions here in Maricopa County, right? If you're in other counties, they could be a little bit different. There's some counties that are booming, right? And there's some counties that are, worse than this, right? We're staying fairly consistent, which is good, which is this is a year over year, but on average, right, most of the market and nationwide, we reduce about 30% over the holidays. So we've got to understand that to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a bad situation getting into the holidays, anticipating that we're going to have the stellar holiday months and not putting any extra effort into it if we want to have those stellar months, or just anticipating that might be a little bit slower, right? So we've got to really anticipate that and make sure that we're, looking good for the new season, right? So as you mentioned, it's all about knowing your numbers, right? And creating that budget for yourself to know what it's going to look like. Now, one of my biggest tips that I can give, and this thing, kind of changed my business and my finances, because I've been in the business for, roughly 10 years. And, I didn't learn this really until about maybe year 6, right? And so one of the biggest things that shifted my finances was understanding that the month that we are in, right, that budget comes from what our results were for the previous month, right? And so this is an example of a family budget that I do with my spouse, and we do sit down and we do this together, and we see how much do we owe, how much do we need to pay, right? How much are we saving, and what's the total amount of paychecks that came in, right? And so it's super important that we have this clear picture, right? Because when we look at the total paychecks that came in, we're not accounting for what's coming this month, right? Or we're not accounting for what's coming in December. Truthfully, here this November, right? This budget form for me was done the first week of November, right? And when we count here on line 5, we say total paychecks coming in, right? We're counting, okay, what came in the month of October, right? So we can strategize our budget for the month of November, right? We're never counting the month of November as the money for this month, right? Because one, in our industry, we have fallout, right? And this is where it really gets to us when we're not prepared for it. We end up saying, I've got a closing, it's coming, and it doesn't happen, and we're in a bad situation, right? So it's always good to anticipate what you're already made and how can that budget be for the following month to make sure you're never in that catch-up mode. But also it just makes that clear picture of what you can go out there and spend, right? So we're coming up really close to the end of November, right? So I encourage you guys to try and do this budget form here now. If not, maybe over the Thanksgiving holiday with your spouse, if you've got a spouse, and sit down and go through your expenses and go through your bills and see what you have coming up for the month of November, and for the month of December, and if the month of November paychecks can cover that month of December, right? That way you also understand that anything that comes into December is bonus, right? It's bonus, so that way you can go out there and have a great holiday, right? But we need to be prepared now, so that way we also don't go out there and get into a ton of debt if we anticipate we're going to be buying gifts and maybe our November is not looking as pretty as we want it to be, right? So we also want to review your business over the years. If you've been in business over 1 year, so if you've been through a holiday season before, right? We need to kind of look back at that and say, okay, what happened then, right? What was my historic average? If you've been in business for more than 1 year, what does your business naturally decrease in the previous holiday seasons, right? So when we look at that, right, like then we can really understand, like, hey, am I the person that like works super duper hard till the end of the year and I keep it all consistent, right? Or does it dip, and how much, right? If I can look at my previous years and track that data and say, well, it looks like November, December has always been, 2 less transactions for me every single time, or 3 less transactions for me every single time, then we can anticipate that we might have a little bit of the same trajectory, right? And we can make sure that we're accounting for our budget in that way as well, right? Now, we need to review our income and expenses for the holiday season, and also cut expenses that you do not need, right? Now is the perfect time to go into the new year with less subscriptions, right? So we always buy subscriptions and we always say we're going to implement this great thing in our businesses, right? And we say, we're going to do this dialer, we're going to do this, paid ad service, we're going to do this new CRM, we're going to do this new thing, right? And we end up starting to acquire subscriptions throughout the year because we think, hey, this is going to be really awesome and it's going to help me with your business. So now you need to analyze that, right? And really understand what's your return on your investment, right? How much have you spent and how much have you used it and how beneficial has it been for your business, right? We tend to be in our industry a lot of the times have a little bit of ADD with some of the new shiny things that always come out, right? Because there's a lot of shiny things that always come out, right? And they're amazing tools. They're really amazing tools. The hardest thing to do is implement, right? The hardest thing to do is use all of the tools. When we've got a lot of tools in our tool belt, right? Sometimes we don't even know what to use, right? So it's super important that we look through all of our subscriptions, right? We look through all of the marketing that we're doing, right? And really understand where is our return on our investment the highest, right? What is some things that we could potentially cut maybe just for these holiday seasons, right? Is it, subscription services where it's pumping out marketing for you, right? Is it a CRM that you haven't used that maybe we could transition into a lower cost CRM? Is it, a dialer that maybe you don't feel comfortable using, right? So we've got to really understand where is our money going, right? Where are all of our subscriptions in our real estate business that we need to eliminate, right? A lot of the times you could put things on pause, right? You can put things on pause, especially if you're going to be out for vacation, you're going to be out, a lot of the things like gym memberships or maybe like a membership for your kids. I've got kids that go to like Uptown Jungle that, we anticipate that, hey, we might be out of town for a few weeks. And so we might not go there. There's a lot of services that we might have on a monthly basis that we don't really think about, but we can always put on pause, right? We can always put on pause if we don't want to eliminate them from our life to kind of like we're talking on the theme, winterize your finances and be prepared to maybe spend a little bit less this holiday season, right? And then prioritize essential expenses, right? Over the discretionary spending, right? Like if your business, and this is strictly on the business, right? Like if your business needs, your CRM to survive, then that's obviously something that we don't want to cut or pause, right? But if you don't necessarily plan on, sending your year-end, marketing book, right? Realtor book that sometimes, we have, then maybe, it's time to kind of pause that or just maybe not do it this month of December, right? And so we've got to really understand where is our money going, right? And where can we cut expenses and where can we cut it now so that December is a little bit easier on being able to track that, right? And one of the things that's down there here on my budget here that I use, right, is also knowing your numbers of where everything stands, right? So where's your savings currently right now? Where are you tracking all of your savings as well? Like, what's your survivability number? Meaning, how much do you have to, spend every single month, right? And making sure that you have that cushion, right? To make sure that you're never in that situation where you're going to have to, put it on credit, where you're going to have to spend it on, or go into debt, and or not have the ability to pay the things that you have to pay, right? So we've got to have that little bit of a cushion, okay? So that's my next slide there. It's building that financial cushion. So we want to try to allocate some funds, and this is, again, this is a work in progress from ahead of time, right? But, we're talking about it now so that way if you don't have this now, you work on getting this, right? And what I like to have is your 3 times your survivability number, right? So 3 times your survivability number will put you in a really good cushion where if you have 1 month that's a little bit slower or 2 months that's a little bit slower, you have the ability to still carry yourself and still have the life that you're living, right? And so when we talk about your survivability number, we're going to look at, okay, what's the minimum owed? Like, what do you need to make sure that you're going to be able to pay the bills, right? And when we total this up and we find out your survivability number, you're going to get 2 things, right? One, you're going to find out, how close you are to broke, right? And so we've got to really understand that, right? We've got to really understand that because 1, it's a scary thing, but also 2, it's a very motivating thing, right? Where we say, okay, I need to, work really hard to make sure that I have a small cushion to make sure that my bills can be covered for the next 3 months, God forbid, right? And so your survivability number, if you can times that by 3, that can be really, really good cushion for yourself. Now, some people are a little bit more conservative and they want to have 6 months of bills, right? Depending on your bills and what you're spending on a monthly basis, that's up to you. And some people are okay with 2 months, right? I always say at least 2 months, right? Try to have at least 2 months. 1 month is really difficult because 1 month, one bad month, and you're down to zero, right? And it's really, really hard to come back from that. And then we start playing into that, you know, the following checks for the following month need to absolutely cover the bills for this month kind of thing, right? And so we want to make sure that we're building that financial cushion. 3 times is just ideal, right? 3 times your survivability number. So look through all of your bills, eliminate what you can, right? Figure out your bottom line of, hey, this is the number that I need to have, right? Every single month to make sure that I can survive. And then from there, times that by 3, and that's what you have to have at savings at all times, right? If you dip into it a little bit, that's okay. Work on building it back up. And then after that, you can invest, you could put the money somewhere else, but just always having that cushion to make sure that you won't be in that situation. Okay. And then also just make short-term savings goals, right? So like as we're coming into November and December, right? And we say, hey, you know what, this is what I anticipate my business to be, right? I want to make sure that I save X, Y, and Z dollar amount, right? So this is more, again, anticipating your commissions, right? I always like to say, don't count your chickens before they hatch, right? Don't count your eggs before they hatch. But in this situation, you can kind of anticipate that to make it a goal, right? To say, hey, you know what, I'm planning on making X, Y, and Z commissions, right? Out of X, Y, and Z commissions, I want to, just dedicate myself to say, when these comes in, I want to save X, Y, and Z dollar amount, right? So set small goals that you can feel accomplished as soon as that check comes in. That you can feel accomplished, that you can say, boom, here's the money, paying yourself first. And it feels good to pay yourself first, right? It feels good to say, I'm going to do this with my next check. And then you do it and you save it and you feel really good about it. And you know how much you're going to spend or how much you have available to spend afterwards, right? So we want to make sure we're tracking that as well. Okay. And then maximize your marketing return on your investment with client engagement, right? So this is really important. A lot of people are doing client appreciation events right now, right? It's really, really important because it's another way of being able to get connected with your clients, being able to let them know that you're still here, right? But it doesn't have to be crazy, right? It could be very low cost marketing ideas, right? So we want to leverage social media and email campaigns, right? Because, sending that Thanksgiving email, right? A lot of people don't like to, send it because they think everybody in the world sends it. But hey, if everybody in the world sends it, then you should send it too, because the reason why everybody in the world sends it is because it works, right? It's another touch point. You have to be in front of your clients. And when they can see your email that says, thank you so much in the season of Thanksgiving, we wanted to thank you so much for your support, right? It might be that one email out of all of the 10,000 emails that they get that they say, wow, they really care about me, right? And so leverage that and leverage social media, right? Just make sure that you're posting that, Thanksgiving dinner, posting that, hey, thank you so much to all of my clients, and giving thanks in this, especially in this month, right? Giving thanks to all of the people that have helped you and your family be where you're at right now, right? And so we've got to have that gratitude mindset here right now. And it's so much easier to go in and say, hey, thank you so much, rather than to having to put this crazy elaborate thing, right? So don't forget to call them, right? Don't forget to call them and say, hey, thank you so much, right? That's very low cost. It costs you nothing other than time, right? And it's such a strong touch point, right? A lot of times we try to send out these really nice things. We try to make ornaments or have those client appreciation events, and sometimes they just need a call from you. So just give them a call and say, hey, I just wanted to thank you so much. We're gearing up for our family events, and I just wanted to thank you for just being an amazing client. You're the reason why my family is here, and I just wanted to thank you. And just hold that in your heart, because that is the truth. Our clients is what makes our families successful. Okay. So leverage holiday events from the community and the city. So you don't have to host your own event, right? There is a ton of events that are going on around the city, especially as the holidays kick up, right? And this is something that you can invite your clients to, right? It's very low cost because you don't have to put this crazy event together, right? It's already done, right? And you can say, hey, our team or our real estate brand or our real estate team is going to be at this event. We'd love to invite you to come out with us to this event that the city is having, and we'd love to see you there. If you come out, we'd love to buy you a cup of coffee, or we'd love to buy you, or maybe if you see a booth that you like, and you can partner with them and say, hey, if all of my clients come in and say that they came in with me, right, please give them a cup of coffee, write their name down, and I will pay you all of the bill at the end of the day, right? It's a lot easier because maybe clients won't like that specific, ice cream shop or coffee shop or whatever the case may be. You're not going to be spending on every single client, right? And it helps you build that relationship with also that service provider, whether it's the coffee shop or the taco shop or whatever it may be that you're comping for your clients. So this keeps the cost very low. You don't have to wonder on, how many people are going to come. And it also helps you establish those relationships with these businesses. So it's a very low cost, very, very low cost. You could say 1 cup of coffee, or say we're comping half of the coffees, right? Or comping 100 coffees, whoever gets here first, right? And so you can set that up however you want, but leverage those events that are going on in the city, because people want to see you as a real person as well, right? If you're having a client event, they know that, you're having a client event, you're calling them because they're clients, right? If you're inviting them into a city event, hey, you might be inviting them because they're your friends, right? And that feels way more, less pressure, right? Of, they're coming and you're probably going to ask for a referral, right? And so it's very less pressure, and people like that, right? So just leverage those events and keep that cost really low, right? Send personalized holiday cards. Again, that could be very, very easy. Get the same card, right, from Amazon, a holiday card from Amazon, and send those to your clients, right? One of the biggest changes in the thank you cards that I've done is not brand them, right? If you don't brand them, right, but you can include your business card in there, but don't brand them, right, it's way more personal touch, right? If it's branded, then they feel a little bit more of a client versus a friend or a family member that they can count on, right? So you want to try to not brand them, but obviously include your business card in there, include your material in to make sure that they know, like, hey, you're in real estate, right? So, but yeah, send personalized cards. This is very low cost, right? And you want to make sure that, again, you're adding those touch points to your clients this holiday season so that they don't forget about you, right? And then share market updates and winter homeowner tips, right? That's really, really important, especially if you have first-time home buyers, right? Sometimes they just don't know, right? And so you've got to help them, identify some of these things that they might need to prepare for, right? Like, hey, make sure you're, that you're, tuning up your AC here, because it's cheaper during the holiday season, right? It's cheaper for a AC person to come in and tune up your AC, because again, they're a little bit slower. They're a little bit more hungry for business. They'll give discounts and things like that. That's a really great tip that a lot of people don't know about, or they don't do because they don't think about it until it breaks, or it's summertime and it's not working the way it should, right? So this is a really great tip that you can give. So just continue giving those and send that out to your clients during this holiday season. Again, it doesn't cost you much but time, right? So we want to leverage these low cost marketing ideas to keep your expenses low, okay? All right, so proactive planning, okay? So this is super duper important. We still have time, okay? So if you're worried, right, about what that tax bill is gonna look like for the new year, okay? One, there's a really great tool from the IRS that you can go in there and kind of calculate what it's gonna look like to make sure that, one, you're prepared, and two, you can try and talk to your tax person and say, hey, this is too much, what I need to do, right? And so from there is meet with your CPA or your tax agent, right? Or your tax preparer, whomever it is that you use, right? And also, if you have not set up your PLLC, you still have time to set up your PLLC and look into filing as an S corp if you're making over $60,000 in net income. This is super duper important because of the fact that when you establish a PLLC, you actually have 3 months to declare if you're going to file as an S corp. Now, I won't go too much into it, but the biggest and most important thing about filing as an S corp is that you're paying yourself a W-2 or a paycheck stub, right? And when you do that, you separate yourself from the business. Then the business has its own tax return. You have your own tax return, right? And you each individually pay at a different tax rate. Rather than you making $100,000 and paying taxes on $100,000 in that tax bracket, you might be able to split that up into 60-40, right? And now you're paying less taxes on both tax brackets, as well as the business pays taxes for the W-2 employment, which is tax deductible on the business side. So you can eliminate a lot of the tax that you're going to have if you file as an S corp if you're making over 60K. There is some expenses to filing as an S corp, and so if you're not above that, then it's not truly going to offset the cost of the taxes you're going to pay. So get with your CPA, get with your tax person, so you can understand, where's your tax liability going to be at for this new holiday, for the new year, right? And what can you do right now to proactively plan? If you're in that space where you need to switch to an S corp, right, then you have the opportunity to switch to an S corp now if you haven't filed your PLLC. If you have filed your PLLC over 3 months prior, right, then you can't declare that you're going to file as an S corp until the following year. So if you've already have a PLLC but you haven't switched over to an S corp, then again, just talk to your tax person and say, hey, do you think I should switch over to an S corp starting the new year? So that way you can also make sure that you understand what that means and what are the implications as far as expenses that you're going to have when you're running payroll. Okay, so super duper important that you meet with your tax person. It's really, really, really crucial, because it's going to help you also plan for more expenses if you need to, or how can you add some of these expenses that you might have into the holiday season as maybe business related expenses, so that you can bring that taxable income down, right? This is going to save you a lot of money. You need to do it before the end of the year, at least by December, at least, so that you have the opportunity to tweak anything that you might be able to tweak during this year to have a successful tax season. Okay, so definitely, like, this is one of the biggest things that you need to do, especially if you're making over $60,000 in net income as a real estate agent. You need to prep with your tax person. Okay, I can't stress it enough. It's really important, so you don't get bit in the butt here when your tax season comes. Okay, that's really important. So to kind of sum it up, right? So some action plan, right? To kind of sum it up and have an action plan to go out there and make your December really great. And like you said, winterize your finances for these months is start that budget, right? Start it this week or start it next week, but do it with your spouse so they also understand, like, hey, I care that you have some input on this, right? Don't just do it by yourself. A lot of times then they're like, why are you saving so much money and how come I haven't gotten my check, right? So you want to make sure that you guys are all on the same page, okay? Eliminate subscriptions, eliminate things that you do not need or that you thought you would needed and never used, right? And so look through those and really kind of see what you can eliminate or bring into a low cost, an alternative low cost system, or potentially just put on pause through the holiday season, right? Leverage the low cost activities, right? So make sure that you're still out there doing business, make sure that you're still out there being active, but leverage those low cost activities. You don't need to go crazy and spend $5,000 on a crazy event, right? There's a lot of really low cost, high touch point activities that you can do with your clients to make sure that you're still proactively prospecting during the season. The last thing that we want is for you to say, well, I don't want to spend anything. I don't want to do anything during this holiday season. And then your January and your February are going to be a struggle as well, right? And that's a lot of the times what happens, because a lot of our people are holding off right now. A lot of people start saying, hey, I'm going to hold off into the new year, right? And if you don't start following up with them until January, then at the same time, that's not going to close until March. So you might have 4 months of lower production. And so you've got to really continue to prospect. And if you need to prospect a little bit differently than when you have before to save some of that money, you need to make sure you're leveraging these low cost activities, right? And then tax planning, like I said, I can't stress it enough. It's super crucial. It's super important, right? And it's super beneficial to do it now versus to do it in January and February, because you can't change anything that happened for the year in January and February. Right now, you can change some stuff or strategize some stuff. So make sure that you're doing it now before the end of the year. And then if you'd like some help with this, like I said, I do this budget every single month with my family, right? To make sure we have, we're on track exactly where we're at. And I'll send you guys the budget. I'll send it to Sarah so she can send it out. So you can use this as an Excel sheet that, plays off of each other. And then if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one consult, like I'd be happy to go through these with you. And that way you're making sure that, you're filling these out correctly. And if you're struggling, right? If you are struggling already, right? If you are struggling right now during this holiday season, there is, different options that you can do. If you've been in business for over 2 years or even over 1 year, you can leverage your home's equity, right, to kind of hold you through the season. I would say try not to use credit cards because those are going to be high interest, right? And so credit cards with high interest, right, it's going to be a lot harder to get off. You're doing a HELOC, leverage your HELOC, or if you already have a HELOC, try to leverage your HELOC instead, without having to get into more credit card debt. Essentially, you're going to get a better interest. It's going to be amortized for longer, so payments are going to be shorter, right? And so it's definitely an option, an alternative option to going into debt with credit cards, because 25% is just crazy and it's very hard to get out of, right? We do have a HELOC option that can essentially fund within about 5 days. If you started today, it can fund in 5 days essentially. So if that's something that you absolutely need, definitely reach out to me and we can talk about it and see if that would be an option or a potential possibility. Okay. I don't like the commission advancements, right? I'm very against it, but if you are struggling right now, you've got a commission that's coming up here in December. There is a couple of different companies, and you have to do your research because like I said, I personally don't like getting that, that check before, again, counting the egg before it hatches, right? And so, but there is companies that will advance your commission based off of an escrow that you have active. So if you are in that position where you're really struggling, this could be an option that you might want to look into to hold you over if you're in that position where you're struggling. And then agent collaborations, right? A lot of the times, a lot of the agents are taking time off, right? There is a lot of agents that are taking time off. And so if you're struggling right now and you need to go out there and kind of make a little bit of extra cash, right? A lot of people will post, hey, can you do some showings? Can somebody do some showings for me? As people are out of town, people are having vacations, but still having business, right? They still need help to be able to get this done. And so a lot of people right now will start to ask for help on showings, ask for help on, maybe listings, right? And you'll have the opportunity to kind of, co-broke or maybe just ask for a showing fee. Or just ask for a referral fee and say, hey, I'll pay you a referral fee. Let me take the client completely. So a lot of agents, top producing agents will start to do that during this holiday season. So keep an eye on them, make those relationships with them and say, hey, if you need anything this holiday season, right, I'd love to help you. I'd love to support you in any way that I can, whether it's showings, whether it's, taking your buyers, whether it's negotiating business, like whatever you need, let me know. Because not only will that help you now, but it will help you in the future. Establishing great relationships with top producing agents will also help you in the opportunities down the line where they can share a listing, where they can say, hey, I can't handle this business. Do you want to take it, right? And when you're doing that right now during the holiday season, when they need it the most, right, it might open up some opportunities for you in the future. So definitely be proactive. If you are struggling, you've got to really, really push it to make sure that you're doing all of the activities during this holiday season, planting all of the seeds so that you can make sure that you can reap the rewards as they come. All righty. And I believe that is it. I am doing a business planning class. So Sarah, I know we talked a little bit about it, but last month, I did the marketing matters for the business planning. This is my actual class that I am having. So if you haven't done your business plan for 2025, I'd love to invite you guys out. This is going to be tomorrow. Actually, I forgot to put the date on there, but there is the link and I'll send it out to you, Sarah, as well. It's a lunch and learn here at my office. I'm on 24th Street in Camelback. If anybody wants to come out and do some business planning for 2025, I'd love to have you guys out. It's completely free. We'll have some food. It'll be really, really fun. And we'll just jump into some stuff. And speaking of tax, we are doing a small business tax class as well. With my tax agent that I personally use, right? And so if you are wondering on PLLCs, how to structure those, how to do, how to structure your payroll for the end of the year, because you still, again, have time, right? Then I'd love to invite you to my tax class as well. This is actually today. So if you don't have something going on, starts at 12 today. Again, I'm on 24th Street in Camelback. I'd love to invite you guys out. Should be an hour with Elisa Turner, Turner and Tax, and she'll be talking about PLLCs and how to structure them and when to structure them. So you guys, I'll send that to Sarah as well. But feel free to take a picture of that as well and jump on the Eventbrite, and hopefully you guys could make it out. So I believe that should be it. Hopefully that was some good info, some good nuggets for you guys. And again, just definitely super important that you start planning right now. Don't leave anything on the table for the rest of the year, right? Get really aggressive and really dialed into your numbers. And one of the biggest things that I could say is in this holiday season, as there's 30% less transactions, there's also 30% less people doing business. And so this is your opportunity to go out there and plant the seeds with clients, plant the seeds with prospects, so that way you can reap the rewards when they start, shopping in January and February, and they don't get the call from the agent in January and they say, well, I'm already working with so-and-so realtor. They actually, we went under contract last week of December and we're closing on January 30th, right? So if you don't want that, make sure you're on top of your clients, okay? Awesome. Hope that was informative. Sarah, thank you so much again for the opportunity. Any questions for me?
I don't think so. I mean, the I always I'm always impressed when I see like a budgeting spreadsheet and you are like, we do this every month. Like for years, I think in my mind, I've been like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start and I'll start a budgeting spreadsheet. So I guess my question is, do you have any tips for how to stay consistent? Because like I'll do it for a couple of months and then I'm like, my finances are fine, it's good, I think I know where my money goes, and then I always get away from it. So any tips on how I can make it, I don't know, less like pulling teeth and more like a reward?
Yeah, absolutely. So two things on that. Number one is try to do it. I mean, I know it sounds, weird to do it on a date night, but try to do it on a date night, right? Make it a fun activity, make it something fun, and you guys are going to touch on it and, be proud of where you guys are at, right? And say, hey, maybe we didn't have the greatest month, but look at what we've accomplished from, 12 months ago, right? You could see, so on that thing, it'll say, how much you've saved year to date, right? So it's really good because then you can say, maybe we didn't save as much this month, but look at our investments, look at our 401k, look at our IRA. Let's feel proud of what we have, right? And so make it a date night, right? My wife and I don't always do it on a date night, but we do it. And number two is accountability. So I have to give this to somebody, right? So that they can review it, so that it can hold me accountable, right? To say, did you do good or did you not do good, right? So find a buddy, find somebody that, would be willing to take the challenge, that you don't, feel super uncomfortable giving them your budget, right? Because sometimes people are like, no, I don't want them to know what I make or what I have, right? But find somebody, right? Find somebody that you trust, that they won't give you judgment, but that can keep you accountable, right? That can say, hey, are you going to send me that today? How did you do this month, right? And so find somebody. I have particularly have a coach that I have to send this to, right? Like it's a requirement, right? And so it helps me stay accountable to doing it, right? But it's super powerful because once I do it, right? I try to, again, I pay all my bills on that first week because now I have my budget. Now I know like what I can go out there and spend. Now I know maybe I spent a little too much the last month, right? And then I can say, okay, this might take me 2 months to pay off, but here's going to be the strategy. That means that we're going to be a little bit more conservative on this month. That means that, maybe we might not go out to Starbucks 3 times a week, right? Like we've got to really look at that and say, okay, where were we, what do we do in October and what are we going to do in November, right? So it really, really helps. Those are my two tips, is just make it fun and then find a buddy, right? Find a buddy to keep you accountable to just at least giving it to them. Even if they don't review it with you, just at least giving it to them, and they can hold you accountable and say, hey, you don't give this to me, you're buying me coffee, right? And have that little playful accountability that with your buddy, whoever you can do it with.
I like that. Those are really good tips, like date night and then an accountability. And then you have to
Mhm.
pay off your accountability partner if you don't get it. I like that.
Exactly.
Pay them off with
Exactly.
coffee. Awesome. Yeah,
Exactly.
those are really good tips. Like I said, I always feel like when I do it, I'm just, you know, whether I do it or I don't do it, nobody's
Gotcha.
really watching. Get somebody to watch. Awesome.
Exactly.
So if you guys who are watching the recording too, if you want a copy of the forms that Abraham's going to send over to me, just please reach out, sarah.touchstone@ltaz.com. I can get those to you as well. I'm going to wrap up with the other classes that we have coming up this month real quickly. If you guys have any other questions for Abraham, please let him know in the chat. He did put his contact information up there in the beginning. But Abraham, for those couple of people that are still on, will you put up your contact in the chat as well? And as you guys know, I always go through these classes really quickly at the end, but you can always find them on our event page. Quick reminder, there is no Marketing Matters next week. A lot of people start pre-cooking and prepping for Thanksgiving on Wednesday. So you all please take that extra time, that extra 30 minutes on a Wednesday morning to prep for your Thanksgiving meal. Of course, you guys know if you miss us, we are on YouTube. You can go back and you can watch any of the recordings. And then our December topics are going to be all about finding your niche in the real estate market. So you'll want to tune in December for that. And then on the 21st, so tomorrow, we've got the Department of Real Estate hosting a class with our commissioner, Susan. She'll be talking about building value through propositions and changes in the law. If you want to attend that, please reach out to Renee and let her know. That is from 1 to 2 p.m. At the Department of Real Estate tomorrow. And then on Thursday, December 5th, we've got our next installation of the Arizona Real Estate Series. We've got top producing agent Rudy Flores coming on and Parker Rose. He is an economist, and they're going to be talking about looking ahead to the 2025 real estate industry. I've got a little bit of insider information on this, guys. 2025, it's looking pretty good. You want to find out how good it's looking? Attend this webinar on December 5th. It is 9 until 10 on the 5th. So get that QR scan. If you've ever attended one of these before too, it is a rolling registration. So you are already registered. Just look for the link from Eventbrite and Zoom on that. And then also on December 5th in the afternoon, we are doing our Adopt a Family wrapping party. We do this every year. Every year, all of our offices at Landmark Title adopt families through the organization HELP. And every year we get together and we have a big party and we wrap all of our presents. If you have adopted a family with us this year, you are welcome to join and bring your presents. Even if you haven't adopted a family and you love wrapping presents, we can always use extra hands for this. This is from noon until 5 at our Biltmore location in the training room on December 5th. Let us know if you're coming. We may even have a surprise visit from Santa on that day. And then on December 11th, we've got our Service to Sold panel. This is 5 amazing service members that have gone into the real estate industry. They're going to tell you all about how they apply the discipline that they have learned through being in military service into the real estate industry. We actually did just change this location to Blanco's. So I'm updating that flyer. So if you want to come out for some appetizers, tacos, and a cool new location change, same date, same time, 1 to 3, but please scan that QR code and let us know if you can attend. And then of course, we always have our home tours, our Moon Valley home tour. That's on third Thursdays. Biltmore Luxury was actually this morning. So you'll have to wait till next month for that one. But they do go on through the holidays. They are great tours to attend. And then, of course, if you need this recording, any of the recordings, or any of the material that our wonderful guest speakers provide on Marketing Matters, please reach out to your business development managers. I send them the recording every week. I send them all of the material that we talk about on here. So reach out to Beth, Dina, Emily, Keith, Mary, Michael, Michelle, Patty, Renee, or Raylan up in the Prescott office for all of the goodies and all of your marketing needs, of course. And then please think of Landmark Title on your next contract. We'd love to do your title and escrow work through the holidays and beyond. We have 7 offices here in the Valley, 1 up in Prescott, 2 up in Nevada for all of your title and escrow needs. And thank you, Abraham, for coming on again. You've got great stuff. Like, this is great material. So if you guys want to attend some of the other classes that Abraham offers, please reach out to him. You can reach out to me, and I'm happy to put you in touch with Abraham as well. There's going to be a lot of good stuff, I think, coming from Abraham too in 2025. So he's somebody you're going to want to find and follow, and definitely attend more of his classes. So thank you for coming on here.
I appreciate you, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor always. And I look forward to it. I look forward to it.
Thank you, Abraham. And thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in December.
Absolutely. Yeah.